Now, it is a very valid question to ask from an examiner what to expect in IELTS speaking. That is, when it is your IELTS exam, what to expect? What if I get confused, nervous, or I'm not able to breathe, or I'm what will the examiner do, or what he is going to be his behavior. So an ex-IELTS examiner can tell you lot of it, and I can also tell you some IELTS speaking tips, and if you implement them, you will be so confident in your speaking. So without much ado, let me explain what you have to do or what you expect. So first of all is related to the venue, and in the paper pencil, the LRW is different from the venue is different from the speaking venue. It may be same, but mostly it is different. But for the computer delivered IELTS, it is the same. So this confusion should not be there in your mind. Then there are two types in which the examiner or this IELTS speaking is conducted. Like there could be a physical, that is face to face, you sit before the examiner, or it could be online. So if there is an option, I would suggest that you should go in for your physical. Now there's a catch. What is the catch? When you have remote, the examiner may be sitting in Australia or in Britain or some English speaking country. So he may be native or non-native. So an accent could become a problem. I'm telling you as an examiner. And if you choose your physical, it is mostly the local examiner, like I was the examiner. So if you have an option, you can choose the physical one. So then you do not know how the examiner is going to behave and all that. So if you are doing physical test, one advice, sincere advice, most of the candidates do not take into account this. Sometimes I was taking the giving the IELTS exam, and I'm informed the candidate has not come. That is not good, right? You should be there 15, at least minimum 15 minutes before your test, and the best is 30. Why? Because the environment is different, and when the environment is different, you feel nervous. It is very normal. So you can imbibe, you can see the candidates coming, going, but don't talk to them. You'll get nervous. Okay? Then one more thing. Suppose your name is called out and you have to go and climb up the stairs, and the examiner is up there in the room, and you are feeling, as if you cannot breathe, you're out of breath. Okay? And suddenly your your throat becomes dry, or you feel your heartbeat is very fast. Then when you sit before the examiner, like I was the examiner, when you're sitting before me, you can say, ma'am, can I return, can I be normal? And the examiner is going to be very kind. She's going to be is thinking about your problem. We understand, anybody can feel nervous, and maybe you can ask for water from the operation people, that I want some water, take some water, and then you say, ma'am, now I am ready. So then when the test is going to start, then she will be saying that this is my name, the candidate is this, show me your ID and all that. And then there is a very important question. The first question is, you should know whether you work or study. See, answer this carefully, because all the questions are going to be based on this question. So if you are working or a professional, you can say, I work as a manager in company or whatever. And if you are a student, then you can say, I've been studying this, or I have graduated and I'm studying this, whatever you want to say. Because the other questions are going to, the follow-ups are going to be like this. Of course, if you are you're not studying, or you're not working, you can say, I'm a homemaker, right? Or you can say that I'm a stay-home parent. Okay? Because then the topic is going to be like that. Now, after this, then the part 1 is going to start, right? So from here you are going to be evaluated. I don't know what are the myths. They say, oh, if you have this, you say like this, you can call me this, and if you say like this, she's going to give you more scores. No. When the part 1 starts, the scoring starts. Is that clear? In the part 1, there are going to be various topics. The topics already sometimes you know and you can revise them, and you are going to answer them in 4 to 5 lines. You have to, the first step is for part 1, please note, answer the question directly. Okay, so what color do you like? Don't say, there are many people who love dark colors and light colors. Don't start like this. Just answer that I love red color. Or do you like ice creams? Okay, I'm really a big fan of ice creams. So answer the question directly and then focus on the why. Don't let the examiner say why. They do not tell you, they do not say why without any reason. Always keep the word why in your mind. See, if I say, I'm really crazy about ice creams because I have a sweet tooth, right? So every weekend I go with my parents to just savor something or something like that, you can say. Okay, then be very particular about the tense. In part 1, tense is very important. So they can say, did you play football as a child? So this is past tense. Okay, then sometimes the examiner may be asking you 4 to 5 topics and 2 questions from all these topics. So don't be afraid, just answer confidently. So sometimes what happens is, as an examiner I can tell you, I've placed my paper somewhere, I have placed my pencil somewhere, and you think I'm not listening to you. I am. And maybe I'm feeling thirsty, so I'm drinking water. Or you may feel that the examiner is not interested, she's not having an eye contact with you. Very rare, but then sometimes it can happen. Okay, and the examiner is yawning and all that. It doesn't mean that she is not paying attention. The everything is being recorded on the device, right? And she's going to kind of give you scores according to that. And yes, we are very experienced because we've been doing this day in and day out. Every day we are testing about 20 candidates, and it comes into our blood. So don't worry about that the examiner was not looking at me or whatever you want to say. Now let's come to the part 2. In part 2, she's going to say, now this is your cue card, and the card is printed in the middle, and then she's going to give you a paper and a pencil, and you can give, just you are given 1 minute to write about that cue card. The bullet points are there, you can address them. Make a spider diagram. Now that's a tip. For every bullet point you should have at least 2 ideas. Okay, and then you don't have to worry, oh ma'am, how would I know when the 2 minutes will be over? That the examiner will be doing. So don't worry. So then what is the cue card? It is not necessary that you can, once you have written on the cue card, you cannot see. You can see. Now here is one myth, a very big myth that most trainers are saying, but an IELTS examiner in your IELTS speaking is telling you, do not worry if you don't have eye contact all the time, or you're not having eye contact with the examiner. It's okay. Your language is being tested, right? Your clothes, no, it is not being tested. You are tested on what? Fluency. Fluency means there should not be long gaps, right? And then your lexical, of course, what sort of language you are giving. Are you using idioms? Tip, please listen, at least use 2 idioms in your test. Okay, so the lexical is important. Then your grammatical structures are important, whether you're using complex sentences, simple sentences. If you're just using simple, you'll get a 4 band. Okay, I'm not going to now go more about that. And of course your dress is also not going to matter, and the examiner is going to track the time. You don't have to bother. And sometimes the students say, oh, she took the exam, she did not ask me to stop, it was for 3 minutes. I don't know from where did they come to know. Okay, now then after this, the examiner is going to take back the cue card and that notes on which you have written and ask one question related to the cue card, like, do you still go there if the cue card is about a place? Now the next part, let's start with the part 3. the most important part of your test. The examiner comes to know whether you have a memorized cue card, memorized part 1, because she's going to grill you in part 3. And part 3 answers are supposed to be at least 7 to 10 lines. I'm telling you, don't listen anybody. Okay, of course the topic will be related to your cue card. If it is about transport, so they will be asking like, what are the advantages and disadvantages of public transport? So that is one category. I'll tell you the categories of part 3. Kindly note down some good phrases where you can explain this. Like, first category is advantages and disadvantages. I've already given you the example. And then why do you think people in your country use most of the public transport? Your opinion. That is second category of part 3 questions. Do you think, or in your opinion, whatever. Then there's a comparison, like between the past and the present, between the present and the future, and any two things. Suppose in the past, do you think people used public transport more than what they do in the present? Like that. I'm just building up. It's an extempo. So 3 categories I've already told you: advantage, disadvantage, your opinion, and then is the comparison, and then the fourth is prediction. Do you think by 2030 the people would be using more of the public transport, whatever it is? So prediction. You should know what tense you have to speak, especially in part 3, and you should have some phrases, and you should know some grammatical structure to explain them. So if it is comparative, you have to use the comparative structure, right? And then the part 3 ends. It is only in part 3 she decides whether you get a 7 or a 8 or even a 9. So if you are speaking very nicely in part 3, you can even get a 9. And I have given somebody, but rare, but I have. And then she would say, that's the end of the test. Okay, thank you. Please do not ask the examiner, ma'am, how was it? What was my band score? What band score I can expect? Ma'am, did I perform well? Just say thank you and you can go. So if you are nervous, sometimes you are not confident in spite of all this, then you can take your family member with you or your friend who keeps motivating you and talking to you. And I hope you have liked this video. Please share. It is coming from an IELTS examiner. Share with all your friends so that they can benefit. Sharing is caring. Thank you.